Lesson 1.6, Describing Pairs of Angles. Essential question: how can you describe an angle pair relationships and use these descriptions to find angle measures? So you can see all of these are pairs. We're going to have names for them. And even in the diagram, if you take two angles at a time, they're going to have a name. Take some time to set up your notes. The name of the notes, the essential question, and you can see a lot of this is vocabulary, so I'm setting up a table so that you can draw the picture and write some notes next to it. Okay, let's take a look at this square, and there's some diagonals, and it divides it into four triangles. What do you notice about the following angle pairs? Okay, so we know something about a square, and that is that it's made of right angles. So if we use the angle addition postulate, little plus little equals big, we can see that these are, the sum is 90 degrees. Okay, angle C, and with this right angle symbol means that this angle is 90 degrees. And we can see that this is a straight angle, so I can see C is going to be 90 degrees. And again, another straight angle, with one angle being 90 degrees, the other one will have to be 90 degrees. So I notice that this sum is 180 degrees. Now let's take a look at C and E. We have one more angle to find. Again, this straight angle, these two angles have to add up to 180, so this is 90. And so I can see that these are equal to each other. So here's some of the relationships I'm seeing. All right, so we have some vocabulary words. Our first vocabulary word is complementary angles. And here's a picture of complementary angles. You can see that these two angles, little plus little equals big. It looks like their sum is 90. And 20 degrees and 70 degrees, again, the sum is 90. So make sure you draw a picture. Both pictures will be valuable. One is a picture where the angles are together, and one is a picture where the angles are separated. Supplementary angles. This is an example of supplementary angles. And the sum is 180 degrees. So this is a straight angle, and you can see these two angle addition postulate have to add up to 180. Also, go ahead and draw this angle as well in your notes, and you can see that they add up to 180. And we say that one angle is the supplement of the other. Adjacent angles is our next vocabulary word, and adjacent angles share a common vertex and side. So you can see what it's saying: common side, common vertex. So make sure you draw a picture of adjacent angles. Now this is not adjacent angles because they do not share a vertex and they do not share a side. Okay, let's go to this point. In this figure, name a pair of complementary angles. Well, we know that complementary means adding up to 90. So I need to see if two angles add up to 90. And yes, I do. I can see I have a pair of complementary angles. I'm just going to abbreviate. And that'll be angle CAB. I can't get away with saying angle A because there's three angle A's. But I can get away with saying angle S. There's only one angle S. Name a pair of supplementary angles. Okay, so supplementary angles will be two angles that add up to 180. So angle DAC and angle S again. Now we want to name a pair of adjacent angles. Adjacent angles, I should have put an S here. Adjacent angles share a common side and a vertex. So this would be angle DAC and angle CAB. All right, so let's take a look at some problems that work with complementary and supplementary. So it says that angle 1 is a complement of angle 2, and we know that complementary means adding up to 90. So we know that one of the angles is 62, and we would like to find the other angle, which is the measure of angle 2. And we do a little bit of subtracting, and we're going to get 28 degrees as our answer. Angle 3 is a supplement of angle 4. Supplement means that it's one of the angles that adds up to 180. We know that we're looking for angle 3, and we know that the other one is 47 degrees. And so when I subtract, I'm going to get 133 degrees. Okay, your turn. Go ahead and answer these 4 questions. Stop the screencast. Take your time. As soon as you're confident with your answers, you may look at the next screen. Here's the answer. Complementary, supplementary, adjacent angles. Number 2, the answer is no for both of them. They're not satisfying the definition of adjacent. And some complementary and supplementary problems similar to what I just worked a few minutes ago. Here's another your turn opportunity. Go ahead and find the measures of those 2 angles. Stop the screencast, take your time. As soon as you're confident with your answers, resume the screencast and look to see how well you did. And here's the answer. Complementary means adding up to 90. I put both of those angles in the blanks and solve, use my algebra to solve, and then go ahead and substitute into the expression so I can find them. Okay, our next screen is going to give us 2 more vocabulary words about pairs of angles, and the next one is linear pair. Now notice the word line is in here, so it's not, it's not far-fetched to see that there's a line in this picture. So a linear pair is when 2 angles share a common side, and their non-common sides make a line. They end up being opposite rays. So those are a linear pair. Okay, vertical angles are angles like 3 and 6. And the reason those are called vertical angles is because, let's go ahead and put some color. This ray and this ray are opposite rays. And then this ray and this ray are opposite rays. So angle 3 and angle 6 are made up of 2 pairs of opposite rays. And vertical angles will always have this cross idea. If you don't see the cross, you're not going to be seeing vertical angles. Okay, so we want to identify the linear pair, and we want to identify all vertical angles in the figure. Okay, linear pair, remember, line. So I'm looking for 2 angles similar to this, that they're adjacent to each other and they're making a line. And the answer will be angle 5 and angle 4. Angle 5 and angle 4 are what we call a linear pair. Okay, now I'd like to look for some vertical angles. And vertical angles has this cross effect. And I do see a cross effect. Here's one here and one here. And I can see the answer is angle 1 and angle 5. And that's the only angles I see, because angle 4 here, there isn't an angle over here that's being created by those 2 lines. Okay, now it's your turn. 2 angles form a linear pair. The measure of one angle is 5 times the measure of the other. Find the measure of each angle. Stop the screencast. See what you can do. My first suggestion is draw a picture of a linear pair, and if you don't remember, go back a slide to see, and then see if you can substitute and solve. Here is the answer. Linear pair, I drew a picture. I have one angle that's bigger, 5 times bigger than the other, and I knew that those 2 angles are going to have to add up to 180 because that is a straight angle. Okay, here's another opportunity on number 6 and number 7. Go ahead and stop the screencast, see what you can do. When you resume, go ahead and you can look at the answer. Here's the answer. Okay, in our last screen, it's a concept summary interpreting a diagram. What you can conclude and what you can't conclude. And here's a list of conclude and can't conclude. You can conclude about collinear, you can conclude about intersection, adjacent, straight, and interior. What you can't conclude is things about measure. All this really has to do with is measure. You can't conclude that things are the same length. You can't conclude things are congruent to each other or that you have a right angle. Just because it looks like it doesn't mean it is. There has to be some kind of symbol there to indicate that that's going to happen. Now, when we see these symbols, then yes, we can make those conclusions. So when we see this, then we can say angle DBE is congruent to angle EBC. And when I see these tick marks, this tells me that this set of points, this segment, is congruent to this segment, BC. And then this little box is an indication that angle DBA is a right angle. If you don't see these indicators, you can't make these assumptions. This is the end of lesson 1-6.